You actually look like you're in the mix zone as well with Mo behind you.
Well, you know, I mean, welcome to Dredie's virtual mix zone. You know, I've managed to cordon off the area. It's just me and you. Forget Mo and all that stuff going on in the background, Rich. You're the focus. How you been, sir, man? How you been coping?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good. It's obviously strange times at the moment, isn't it? You have the uncertainty that goes on in life, and then you have everything around sport and all that kind of jazz as well. So it's you have to kind of make sure that your well-being and mindset are right, but also understand that there's a bigger role that we all need to play in this epidemic, and it's tough for a lot of people, isn't it? It's and it also shows that there's a lot of people in society that aren't very resilient, and they need to work on that. And the communities that are being overlooked are the ones that are generally overlooked, and that's because they're resilient, or they're and that's people with disabilities. Like, you don't hear about anything like that in the press, and there's not that much around the homeless, apart from obviously Sadiq in London. So it's very interesting, and how general members of public are very selfish in their own eyes in respect to what they're doing to manage, instead of coming together as a community. But then obviously we've got the clap on tonight, on Thursday at 8 o'clock, and people will happily clap, but then be selfish in other areas. So we just need to be a little bit mindful that we all need to be kinder, and we all need to support each other. And obviously, as a sportsman at the moment, that's a little bit backseat, but I'm doing other things to try and maintain my fitness mentally as well as physically.
Yeah, you touched on something that seems particularly important to you for obvious reasons. The way that people with disabilities have been forgotten in this media kind of frenzy, and just incessant story after story.
Yeah, definitely.
You don't really hear too much about him.
No, and I think the reason why that is because in society, a lot of disabled people feel isolated socially, economically, etc. Because we know that being a disabled person is a lot more expensive to access facilities, lifestyle, and to be able to live, because the equipment that people with disabilities have is so much more expensive, and the accessibility issues. Now, obviously, when you're at home, your environment is tailored around yourself. So people with disabilities are very dynamic in respect adapting their environments to get the best out of it. So I think the reason why we're not hearing a lot about people with disabilities, apart from those that are contracting corona and obviously having that awful circumstance, but those that are at home are very proactive, and have been over years and years of having to overcome barriers and obstacles that general members of the public have put in front of them. So people with disabilities are very very good at overcoming these tough barriers. But it's still, I'm an athlete, but also when I finish my sport or go home, I am a person with a disability, and there's lots of things that even I struggle with, and are overlooked just because I'm a high level performing athlete. You see me being successful on the track, and you expect the likes of myself, Johnny Peacock, Dan Greaves, etc., being that successful off the track as well. And that's not always the case, because some days I can't put my legs on because of how my legs feel, the soreness, etc. Maybe I can't physically be able to lift and carry things or walk long distances. There's loads of factors that affect our life every day that sometimes overshadowed just by sports performance and the persona that you get as an athlete.
We'll touch on the sport in a second, but just you as a family man, dad, because that's another area of your life that if you don't thrust into the fore of people's thinking and consciousness, they're not aware of. So how have you been dealing with being at home with the kids, missus, and that? I'm sure there's been ups and downs like the rest of us.
Yeah, you have to adapt to your circumstance and having the kids around, and their requirements, care requirements, as well as emotionally, even having young kids, they understand that things are slightly different. And then you're managing their workloads at home and being a teacher as well as a parent, as a carer, etc. And then other things as well, where you kind of, if you, as a sportsman that's out and about all over and spending a lot of time away from home, you're then able to spend some more quality time at home teaching the children maybe other life skills that they are getting from school. But at the moment, because of everybody isolating, you're having to adapt them for home and persevere as a family and work together for that common goal. And I'm lucky enough that I've got a garden, and the children have got play equipment that they can let off steam outside, because I know how hard it must be for those that are in isolation in 1 or 2 bedroom flats that have got no outdoor space. Especially weather like today, it's 20, 25 degrees outside, and the children want to go out and really explore and get rid of some of that excitement and that energy, and they can't do that inside. And that's when frustration between parents and children becomes apparent. And it's a way of now going back to basics with learning with children, and getting the children to understand that they need to be a bit more accommodating, and with the resources that you've got at home, it makes you a little bit better equipped to provide some learning tools as well. You kind of adapt what you've got in the kitchen or what you've got at home to then become a teacher in a lot of different ways.
You posted a video when it was official the Olympic Games were going to be postponed till next year. Mate, we know each other well. We've had great discussions over the years. I was gutted for you, absolutely gutted for you, and just in that moment, because I obviously know that you know that what's happening is bigger than sport. I know you know that. It goes without saying. But just in that moment, I really felt your disappointment, not being able to, because this was going to be it for you, wasn't it? This games. This was going to be the last one.
I put a lot of hard work. You don't just have disappointment for yourself, also your team. For instance, this year I put in, I've worked harder and focused more of my time and my energy on this performance this year. I don't really count down to days to Tokyo, but I definitely put more of a energy focus on getting to Tokyo in the best shape I could be. And I was very, very honest with my team and said that I didn't want to just go to Tokyo and just be a number. I didn't want to just go and get a tracksuit. I wanted to try and break my personal best on the 200 metres and have that gold medal moment again. And what would it do to do that? And they were honest with me, and they wanted me to lower my body fat index down, be stronger in the gym, faster on the track, apply myself with those gold medal moments every session. And I did that. The numbers that have been collated by my SSC coach and my nutritionist and doctor and coach all have been moving in the right direction towards the goal that I wanted to. And that was a real disappointment, that I put all that energy into training, especially over the winter. Those that have seen the kind of difference that I've made have been massive. And I'm trying to take people along that journey as well. And like yourself, I'm not 21 years old anymore. I realise that as you get older, you've got to manage your resources a little bit more effectively, and sleep's important, recovery, nutrition, all that rehab stuff that I've been doing. I'm travelling up and down the country, working with experts in their field to make myself better, and then to have the postponement. Tough, because I didn't plan to have another year where I was smashing my body, and there's only so much it can take. So you have to be realistic, and I've took a little bit of time out, eat some good food with my family, and just kind of looked at the whole picture of myself moving forwards and how I can be on that same path, but also taking other people with me and the good work that I want to do for that as well. I'm sure you've seen that I've been away just before the epidemic. I went over to Turkey and did some work with a charity called One Family, with some young amputees that were affected by the Syrian conflict. So it's important that athletes reach outside their own comfort zone and affect not just the community that they live in or the community that they're comfortable with, but outreach to those communities that there is a need. And that's a big part of my my journey from now, is the ability to perform to my utmost, and whether that's the gold medal, which is obviously I want, or not, it's irrelevant. It's more about how I leave the sport, and hopefully people see not just the athlete with the medals and the performances, but they see everything else that comes after. And I'm passionate about that, and I know that if I've affected one person and inspired or liberated or in a positive way helped somebody up that ladder to success, whether it's in sport or life, then I've done a good job. And I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being a professional athlete because it's my job, but also because it's a gift, and everybody's got one of those gifts, and it's about nurturing that gift, utilising it, and having a strong team around you that can support you in your goals.
You talk about being an inspiration, mate. There's few more inspirational moments than London 2012. Let's talk some positivity for a minute, you know, and cast our minds back.
It's awesome.
Still the greatest moment of your life?
Well,
Apart having your kids, of course.
Yeah, obviously, but personally, you kind of can't beat that. But I look back at I've been lucky enough to have some great performances. My first Paralympic gold medal in London, 80,000 people there. The ability to be able to turn on the afterburners on 100-meter title at the Europeans when I ran through was awesome. First marathon, running Land's End to John O'Groats, 2:42 marathon in Chicago. Some awesome memories, and I think what I sometimes get from athletes is that some athletes are focusing one goal, that kind of target in the sky, and when they reach that, they're then that's it. They're okay with that. Where with myself, I've used that as like a springboard to the next platform, and always been reaching for something to push me physically, mentally, and I think that's really important. And that's why I do that with charities as well. The charities that I support, I'm looking to support them, whether it's raising money, awareness, encouraging research, working with international charities, national charities, or regional charities like I work with. I'm as passionate with all of them, and that's important as well. That you don't just have that one focus that only affects yourself. You also have a focus that can liberate other people to take on their own successes, and whether that's domestically, just being positive and getting outside and putting on those trainers and going out for a run, or internationally changing somebody's life forever. And I definitely, that London 2012 moment, I remember looking up at the crowd, having family and friends in the stadium, and like I say, 80,000, there must have been 50,000 Union Jacks waving, having the national anthem sang was something that I will always remember fondly, and lucky enough to have that moment. Athletes work all their life for success, and they don't have those moments, but I was always going to use that moment for what it is, and that was a platform to do some greater things. And I've had my ups and downs with the Paralympic movement, but I'll always be thankful for that one moment, because it's given me the opportunity to do some great things internationally and nationally.
On the Paralympic movement, I mean, obviously, it's a peak time for them, because surviving Paralympic sport is always under pressure, as far as I'm concerned, from top to bottom, just financially. Yeah. What could be done, though, Rich, to help the sport, or what do you think could be implemented immediately that would add to the allure of it, help promote it, help bring about some bigger inclusion at grassroots level? What could be done? Yeah. Oh, he's gone. I know exactly where you was talking about. You was going to go into what could be done to make the sport better and just kind of improve the allure of the sport. Just boost grassroots numbers, and I know that's again dependent on finance and money and all of that stuff we usually hear. But from your own point of view, what could be done? What could be implemented now?
I think what we need to do is collectively have responsibility around the impact of Paralympic sport, and that's individual athletes not concentrate too much on their own brand. We'll kind of hepped up on brand this, brand that. We need to all come together and collectively come together. Here's my little lad, come say hello.
That little man, yeah. That's nice.
And understand that we as a community need to have because when you're a singular person, you can have an impact, but when you're a big community, you can have such a big swell of positivity. And I think that the Paralympic movement's shown that. Obviously at game time, you see at game time how it has such a positive impact, because everybody comes together. But individually, it's about utilising the platforms that people have got. And you want marshmallows, do you? Go and ask your mum, son. I can't believe it. High performance athlete, his son wants marshmallows.
Fair enough. He doesn't know no better. It's fair enough.
That's it. He's got a Juventus top on as well. I don't know how that happened. As a Spurs fan. I also think that we all have, because there's so many Paralympic athletes all over the UK initially and all over the world, but all over the UK, everybody can have an impact on their own community, especially that grassroots level, where after this epidemic, the areas that are going to be hard hit the most are going to be communities. I'm not a president of an athletics club in North Somerset, and that was after I did my long run. And I know that they're trying to fundraise for new sports facilities and also participation numbers. So athletes need to get behind those grassroots and really support the grassroots competition schedule as well. And I know one thing around competition schedule that Paralympic athletes always struggle with is getting the accessibility of events. So things like anniversary games, even as a gold medalist at 2012, I still struggle to get accommodation for an event, which is ridiculous. We all, as Paralympic athletes, need to work on domestic meets, support those domestic athletes, work on that ladder from domestic all the way to regional, national, international athletics. But then NGBs need to give us the platform to obviously talk about that and participate all the way through that ladder. I know. Obviously, you've had work in all of those strands before, and I know that especially in the cities, how important it is for athletics and sports competition to really engage those communities. I've always said that one of the areas that Paralympic sport has definitely had there's definitely a market for is for Paralympic athletes to go in inner cities, grassroots, to do work across all those communities. And that's not just athletics clubs as well. You need to go into those church groups, you need to go into those youth club settings, talk to people that know what the community needs. And there's hundreds and thousands of people with disabilities all over the UK. And we are definitely not getting into those areas of need at the moment.
Yeah, no, you're right. I truly believe that there's a lot more that could be done on that grassroots level. Like you said, it just needs a connected and joined effort to make it happen. Hopefully, that's on the cards in the future, or something both you and I can get stuck into post your on-track career. What are you going to be doing for the next couple of weeks, my friend? How are you going to keep yourself busy and sane, as it were?
Yeah, lots of spare time obviously now, and that's the frustrating thing, having all that spare time. But I reading lots of stuff. I'm not a massive fan of autobiographies, or if I do read autobiographies, it's more just people that generally interest me, or maybe some well-being books about maximizing potential, or things that I'm not great at sometimes, like sleep, and how sleep's really important for sport. I'm reading something called The 5 a.m. Club at the moment, which is quite a good book.
Who's it by?
That is, I do not know. Literally,
No, the 5 a.m. Club, yeah?
Club. Yeah. And that's a good, well, the start of the read. I've just picked it up, and it's around obviously how getting up and having those kind of real focused, structured days at an earlier time has a positive effect on your week, and starting on a Monday, all the way through to the weekend. But I also read something. Have you read? There's a book called Make Your Bed. Have you read that one before?
I haven't. I've heard of it though.
Yeah, Make Your Bed. It's about it's an American book, bestseller, and it's about how he was in the Navy SEALs, and he, from making his bed in the Navy SEALs and the intricacies of getting that right, and how he does that in every other part of his life, and how he's judged on just the finer things in life, how that's had a massive effect on his life. It's a brilliant book. It's a read that you can get through within about an hour, 2 hours. It's about 70 pages long. It's not a big book.
Yeah, I'll look out for that actually. I like those kind of books.
Real mindful thing to read. But so yeah, lots of reading. Some bits. Last Dance, the Jordan thing.
Yeah, that documentary. I want to wait till it's all uploaded so I watch them all at the same time.
I'm obviously from an era like yourself that knows what Jordan was really like. For those that have never seen anything about Jordan and know how highly acclaimed he was as an athlete, that's a must-watch. Brilliant. I watched the first 2 episodes and I'm hooked on that, and I know lots of other people are. The films, like I say, spending a bit more time with the family, training-wise, doing some core, some stability exercises that I've maybe not done in the past. One of my assistant coaches, Eamon, that works for Northampton Saints, he sent me some programs to me that are challenging me in lots of different ways. So I'm doing those, and trying to be as positive as possible. Really, I think this could last for months, never mind weeks. So it's about trying to fill those time moving forwards, and whether that's an open university course or reading new books or educating yourself, because knowledge is power. We all need to keep moving forwards. And at the start of all this epidemic, I was a sucker for like watching loads of news, like all the time, watching the debate, watching the Trump things going on in the States on CNN, and then watching regional national news, where now I'm just kind of going, I'll watch it once a day and that's enough, really. It's far too negative. I also think as Paralympic athletes, as athletes generally, we need to have a better forum in media to spread some of these stories. I'm a big listener of Talk Sport. I've always watched a lot of Sky Sports News, tabloids. I'm always reading as well. And you look at how many lines we get for athletics, minimal. I think we need to have more, not necessarily just athletes, but also people like spectators, volunteers, administrators, having those lines in the press to show how important domestic athletics is to the community moving forward.
Totally agree. Listen, it's been a pleasure catching up with you, my brother.
Yeah, always. We'll catch up soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, we definitely will.
Dinner's
I
on
mean,
you,
like,
next time. Dinner's on you.
yeah, no worries. Yes, the last dinner was on you. No, dinner's on me next time, son. I've got you. I know exactly where I'm going to take you, bruv. So you're all good. Just as long as you like spicy food, right?
Yeah.
All right, bruv. All right, I got you catered. Don't worry. We'll be all good. Listen, I'll probably touch base with you again before the lockdown or whatever this is called is done. But till then, look after, man, yeah?
Yeah, keep safe. Cheers, bud.